So Josh, I hear you get some big news.
Yeah. Thanksgiving coming up, and Meyer just dropped their turkey prices. 39 cents a pound.
I guess that's a variation of big news. Anything else perhaps happening?
Tarkov 1.0 just dropped.
That's my news. Shut up. But maybe big news that's a little bit more pertinent to you as someone who doesn't have a console or who doesn't have a PC, who only plays console.
I have 4 turkeys in my freezer.
Okay, that's based off the other. Do you have anything else going on? Something that might
Yeah,
be.
I got engaged.
Oh, that was easy. I thought we were gonna go. I thought this bit was gonna go on longer. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Into the Deep podcast. As always, I'm joined by my good buddy Josh, the fat
I missed
theologian.
it. I missed it.
I know.
I zoned out.
I,
Darn.
I saw it. I was like, let's get it. Let's get it. And as always, I'm the other AK guy.
I uh.
I saw my moment. I seized it.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about this the other day. What if we just started referring to Brandon Herrera as the other AK guy?
I was AK before he was the AK guy. He's only a year older than me, which is really sad.
Look at how little we've accomplished
I
in
know.
life. He does not seem like a year older than us.
He's about
He
your
seems
age.
he is my age.
Yeah.
Like
I
I'm
think.
pretty sure we're only like a few weeks apart in age,
Yep.
which is crazy because he seems like he's in his mid-30s. He's like
It's the hair and the beard.
it really is. But
Because you've
like
got
also
the
like
beard, but his is so like carefully sculpted and that
yeah, but
slicked back
it's
hair.
but it's also the I'm running for Congress.
I own a business that I built from the ground up as soon as I got out of high school. I did like a year of law school and said absolutely not.
It's also the I'm running for Congress.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, one of my former high school students is running for Congress.
Interesting.
He's running for the Texas House of Representatives.
High school student, like you went to high
Like when I
school
was
with
a youth
him.
minister.
Okay,
When I
okay.
was a youth minister.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like 22. And I'm like, wow, okay. Do I think he's going to win? We'll see. But,
And then there's us
and then there's us.
on a very successful podcast.
Yeah, you've got a bird.
I don't even have a bird. My wife has a bird.
Well, so you've really accomplished nothing.
I've got a nice PC.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move past this.
Anyways, a nice PC, which is going to crash later today.
Probably. Because my big news is Tarkov, as you alluded, Tarkov 1.0 released, and I've been playing this game for 4 years, going through watching all these awful betas, awful wipes, and it's finally here, and it crashed on the first day. The entire servers went down. Everyone had a hard time getting it. It was awful. But
Everybody,
now
go ahead and bully Andrew in the comments for using PTO for the
I
next few days.
have PTO, and if I don't use it soon, I won't be able to because I can't really use it during the holidays. So might as
Yeah,
well
so go
use it
ahead
for
and
this.
wait. So your PTO doesn't roll over? Oh,
No.
that's even worse. Yeah, go ahead and
Well,
bully Andrew in the
actually,
comments for using.
to be clear, I don't know what my PTO policy is. I just kind of occasionally ask for days off, and Father David just gives them to me. I have no idea how much PTO I actually have. I would assume
How
2 weeks, but my
how did you
contract
get a?
doesn't say anything about that.
And you have a business degree?
I I am
You
not my
should
own boss.
you should get a refund from Franciscan because they obviously did not teach you that like part of being a good employee is you know getting what your contract says. But I
Hey,
mean,
hey,
hey,
Miriam doesn't have a contract yet. They're still operating without contracts. It's ridiculous.
Okay then.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I
yeah.
get 4 weeks of PTO a year.
Well, aren't two of those for like retreats and stuff?
No, I get 4 weeks of PTO, and then I get 1 week of a paid retreat, and 7 days of sick time.
How much of that PTO have you used though?
In my 2 years being here, 4 weeks, because I take all my PTO during the summer.
See, that's there. It is.
I take my PTO during the summer, and also I can roll over up to 2 weeks of PTO.
Yeah. I just my contract doesn't say anything about PTO. I just kind of take it as needed, and I haven't
Not
been
to
told
make
no
this
yet.
a PTO podcast, but at my last parish job when I was a youth minister, I left with over 130 hours of PTO. So they had to pay me 4 grand.
And then your car fell apart, and you need to spend that $4,000.
No. That was before the car. That was before I moved to Oklahoma. That wasn't a parish job.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk.
Let's lock in.
Let's lock in a little bit here, and let's. I want to point out the fact that my friend Borb took a full week off to play, so I'm not as bad as he is.
But go ahead and bully Andrew in the comments. Anyways, Andrew, how you doing?
Outside of Tarkov, I'm reporting as sad. The Lions lost last night, and I am. Yeah, that was bad. The defense played amazing. Our offense couldn't do a thing, and it was rough. But yeah, otherwise things are really clicking at the parish. We got a lot of new people for OCIA. A lot of people coming in late, but like we're gonna be able to fit them in.
How many people you got this year?
I think with just within the parish for St. Mary St. John, I think we're at 16 people.
We have 73.
You're at a college.
Last year we had 23.
Last year we had 8, so we're still seeing really big growth. Plus the high school, they're having a meeting for theirs, and I think Joe said about half of them will be ready, and we'll have 9 kids from there. I think, and that's 3 times we had last year. Like this is gonna be a huge year for us.
Yeah, we obviously have the college. We have also but we have the college. We have some permanent parishioners, right? People who are like living in Lansing year round who aren't college students. And then we have like 9 or 10 kids. The kids are not included in that count, and they're like kids who go to our Catholic school. So yeah,
Yeah, it's big year, big year.
no, if we didn't have the college, it definitely would be a lot smaller. Like the college is, I think 55 of the people are like college students,
Mhm.
which I'm like, where are they?
Why
Because
aren't you
I
at
have never.
mass?
No, I mean that's not even the problem. It's just like, how do I not know who these students are?
Mhm.
Right? Like, not that I need to know everybody, but like, I'm the campus minister. Like, why aren't these connections being made? Why am I not being invited to come in and like talk about the campus ministry? Like, there's been nothing. So, but anyways,
Yeah, that's what's going on for me though. Other than that, just kind of doing my thing. How about you? We alluded to some minor news at the beginning.
yeah, Myers turkey's on sale.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up. That's the most important holiday.
It is for fat people.
Food and football. That's really all that matters.
It's our 4th of July. Let's see. Texas A&M still undefeated.
Oh, really?
Texas A&M is undefeated. They won the other day, so they were down at the half by like 20 points. It was like 6-26.
Wow.
Came back and won it by 1 point, not in overtime.
Dang.
Fly Eagles fly, you know.
If we had just kicked the 3 field goals instead of going for it at on fourth down when we were in the field goal range, we would have tied. We would have won with those 3 field goals if JMO didn't go and hump the goalpost with his celebration.
Yeah, I'm not saying Dan Campbell's at fault.
Look, I've chosen to believe that anytime we make a bad play, it's John Morton's fault. And anytime we make a beautiful play, it's Dan Campbell making that call.
Well, you did hear the news that Dan Campbell's calling
I know.
all the offense plays.
John Morton's still in his ear. He's still doing the survey analysis, giving him suggestions. So I'm choosing to believe that anytime there's a bad play, it's John Morton's fault, and anytime there's a good play, it's Dan Campbell's fault, Professor Campbell, if
I
you
think
will.
Dan Campbell's balls might have been a little bit too big this game.
They shriveled a little bit in the cold.
his his he he bit off more than he could chew, I think, by trying to go for it as many times as he did.
I honestly, I think it's our offensive line is just not there to keep the run game going or to give Jared Goff enough time to actually pass properly. I think the cold played a factor in it, and our the receiver core just couldn't do anything. JMO was the only one making catches out there. Allen had 2 catches last night.
Was Tesla in the game?
He was in there quite a bit, but he never. I don't think he got targeted. I think he was there
Yeah.
mostly as a pass blocker, but it was a rough.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I can't believe I just did say "Fly Eagles Fly" though. As like I had been a lifelong Cowboys fan before this. Now I'm.
I need the cow. Look, this is the one time it's gonna happen. I'm rooting for the Cowboys to win tonight because if they win, I make $67 on my bet. And they're playing the Raiders. They gotta win.
Yeah.
Unless the
Yeah.
Cowboys are gonna cowboy. But anyway, let's get back to the actual important news.
Winter is coming.
No, you got engaged.
Yep.
So for everyone who listens to this podcast who didn't think Josh was going to get engaged, you owe me $1. You know who you are.
Wait, I need to know who was in this pool.
There's no pool. Matthew did this joke when I got my Eagle and when I got my Eagle Scout, and I think he did it at my wedding too. For everyone who thought Andrew wasn't going to get married, you owe me $1. You know who you are.
He did do that at your wedding.
Yeah,
did do that at your wedding.
at my Eagle Court of Honor, he did that. And he gave a bunch of my family members single dollar bills, and they all came up and gave him like $30 worth of singles.
Yeah. No, at your wedding, I was only able to afford $1 dance because of that.
I just love the fact that my line was longer than Miriam's.
Yep.
Yeah, so I know you don't.
I'm
You don't
engaged.
you don't want to give all the
No,
juicy details away, but congratulations.
We've been engaged for a little over a month now. We've officially got things like a date and a venue picked out, and so most of the heavy lifting is done for the moment.
You're getting almost to that lull where you can't really do anything other than you're doing small edits.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of like I want to grind out the marriage prep process, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to. The hard part is going to be like having a strict timeline of like, no, flowers need to be decided no later than this day.
Yeah.
Right. Like we can't. And so like part of my concern is like if we set a date too late, I'm the kind of person I believe in being preemptive on some things.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I would rather set the date like 2 or 3 weeks earlier than what the actual date needs to be. Right? Like on my wedding spreadsheet it's like, oh, select a venue by the end of December. I'm doing it by the end of November because I'm not trying to be caught with my pants down.
Mm-hmm.
We already know my pants hang too low. It's a low hanging bar.
But no, that makes a lot of sense. Like it's going to be prudent, and
Yeah, I just want to like I would love to like 3 months before my wedding literally have nothing else to do except meet with the wedding planner.
And as your best man, I will be there to support you in all the ways that you need.
Okay.
Expecting a little more reaction than that. Now, are you going to carry on my family tradition of getting the oil changed in your car the day of your wedding?
I was told that was not allowed. I said I was going to get a haircut and an oil change, and then I was proceeded to be told, no, you're getting your haircut 2 weeks before.
That is actually the way to do it. You want, because after the haircut, you want to give it a little time to just adjust. But no, the oil change, day of, it's important. My dad did it.
Yeah.
I did it. Clearly it works. And I'm not talking about the Blue Mountain State oil changes.
Well, now we have to be canceled because we watched a TV show like that. We've grown since then.
I've never actually seen the show in its entirety. I've just seen like occasional episodes that would just get it put on. But anyway,
on Spike TV. Yeah,
let's let's get into today's topic a little bit. I think we've rambled for 15 minutes at this point about a variety of things.
yeah, I'm sure we have.
Uh,
Sounds like us.
yeah. So why don't you had the idea for this stuff?
Yes, I did.
I was a little uncomfortable there. You had the idea for this, so why don't you introduce what our topic is?
So to give you guys some background, a few days ago, I was surfing on the interwebs, and I found myself on the U of Tubes. And I found this video by this content creator. I think his name is Kevin Zhang. So he's like kind of like a fitness, self-help kind of person. And he was talking about like this concept of the winter arc, which like I was already familiar with, but you know, I'm a good sucker for watching fitness YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of just talked about like basically like his niche is like I want like, and this is a lot of people's niches now more so, especially like the kind of people who went from like nerd to fat to fit.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, oh, like I wanted to look like my favorite anime character, and
Yeah,
so like I've built my body around this now.
I follow
And
a
so
lot of
his
fitness influencers like that. There's a lot of them. And it's funny
yeah
because most of the time it's the guys go from from nerd fat fit. The girl fitness influencers, probably about 80% of them who are in this range, they're like, yeah, I was really skinny and then I wanted to look like Mewtwo,
yeah
which is a
um
bold choice for a build, but
yeah, that's definitely something. Anyways, but so he was talking about like the classic parts of an anime winter arc, right? So like the concept of a winter arc, it's not exclusive to anime, but if you are someone who enjoys things like anime and things like that, and specifically I think more so like battle shonens,
yep,
typically during the winter there's like a massive training arc where like the main character or a group of characters is trying to quote unquote level up. And it made me kind of think about like as winter is coming and as we're bracing the next few months, like what would it be like for a Catholic to go through a winter arc?
it's a good question.
And not just in the realm of like physical or mental transformation, but spiritual transformation as well.
I think that's a great topic because it's 32 degrees outside. We had snow on the ground for 4 days this week, and we're
It's
supposed to get
not
more.
winter yet, but winter is coming.
Winter has firmly arrived in Michigan. Let's be honest.
No, winter doesn't start until the winter solstice, because then I can dance around the little fairy trees.
Heathen.
But yeah, winter is here, and so it's time to talk about how to level up your Catholic game this winter arc.
Yeah, and I think we already like the Catholics already kind of have this idea of the winter arc in like when you think about Advent, like it's literally a season of preparation and waiting. Like we're preparing for Christmas and Jesus coming into the world. We are there is already kind of a precedent for it. So I think the anime nerds stole this from us.
You could say that. You
This
could say that.
this is basically cultural appropriation.
Yes. Well, go and watch any anime, and who's always the religious authority? It's the Catholic Church for some reason. All the religious authorities in animes look really Catholic,
They look pretty Catholic or Eastern
except for in
Orthodox.
Naruto. They're definitely Buddhist, but like Fire Force, Blue Exorcist,
Oh,
Soul Eater.
Blue Exorcist is really not what we want to be basing theology off of.
No, but all the like
Yeah.
distinctively religious elements look very Catholic.
Yes. We can
What
thank
is
those
it?
missionaries from.
Black Clover. Another one that is distinctively Catholic in its religious elements.
Yeah, I'm trying to. There wasn't a ton of religious elements in Black Clover. There was a few. I remember like there was the nun.
Yeah, that's the primary thing, right?
Yeah, but anyway, let's get into our what does our Catholic winter arc look like? So
So I think there's three distinctive elements. It's the physical transformation, the mental transformation, and the spiritual transformation, right?
my spirit
And
bomb.
I think what spirit bomb. Calling all the power of the communion of saints.
But now let's get into that. So
Hey,
what's
Francis, share your energy with me.
Saint Anthony? Help me find my keys.
Um, so I think all of these things actually hinge on one crucial thing,
Okay.
which is namely, what is your rule of life?
All right. Expand on that a little bit.
So the concept of a rule of life is rooted in Catholic tradition, and specifically the monastic life, right? So this idea of like you commit to living in a particular manner for a particular reason, right? So perhaps the most famous rule of all is the rule of Saint Benedict,
Okay.
which detailed for monks, and this rule was written in about the mid 300s to early 400s. Um, but it detailed to the monks living with Saint Benedict from Nursia how they were to live, right? And it included everything from like how the monks were to eat, how the monks were to sleep, how the monks were to greet strangers, how the monks were to pray, right? How the monks were to conduct their work. That's where we get the famous phrase "ora et labora," work and prayer, right? And so this idea of having a rule of life which dictates for the next 3 months, how am I going to look? How am I
Okay.
going to live? With this idea of like, for the Catholic, right? The, you know, okay, I want to have a spiritual transformation. I want to have a mental transformation. I want to have a physical transformation. Um, you know, and so I think like, okay, I'm going to have like a very strict rule. And you look at like anime winter arcs and it's like, they have a training schedule. They have like times when they're going to rest and eat, right? Like I always think of like the classic like training montages or training arcs in Naruto,
I was supposed to say
where it's like
The Naruto ones are like the very
Naruto
clear
trains all
ones.
day trying to cut the waterfall and then he has to eat this massive meal at the end of the day.
Hmm. Or like when he's trying to like make the Rasen Shuriken. Like
Yep.
the thing that I think is very, and I think it kind of goes back to you with especially the Naruto training arcs. When he's doing a training arc, whether it's multi-episode or just one or two, it's usually very single focus. He's like, I'm either perfecting a specific technique, I need to get stronger in a specific way, or I am trained to defeat a specific opponent. So it's training's not just like just general training. It's very focused with a specific goal in mind. And I think that's an important aspect of what like a winter arc has to be. It can't just be I just want to get better at all three areas of my life. It's got to be like how are we framing that in an intentional way that allows for whatever our training looks like to actually empower us to achieve that goal.
Right. But I also think like, right, like, you observe certain things. So like another one that I think of is like the it's not the cell training arc in Dragon Ball Z before the Cell games,
Yes.
when Goku and Gohan go into the hyperbolic time chamber. And it's not just that they're training physically, right? They're also training mentally by like, okay, we're gonna try to constantly remain in a Super Saiyan state
Hmm.
and remain our and keep our serenity. And but then they would go and just fight and spar, and so there's all these kind of things. And so I even think within that, right, like the singular focus has to be holiness.
Correct.
And so like in this analogy, holiness is being a Super Saiyan at all times.
Which is what all men want to do. At some point, we have tried to be. We've thought when we were kids, if I just concentrate really hard, I could do it. I can
If I
make it
just
happen.
scream louder for 4 20-minute episodes.
And I clench all of my muscles really tight, I will become a Super Saiyan.
But it's
It just reminds me of the Team Force episode, and they're like, "I thought only a pure of heart person can become a Super Saiyan." And Vegeta's like, "Oh, there's more than one way to realize the legend." And it just cuts to him crying in the hyperbaric chamber. I want to be a Super Saiyan. I want to be a Super Saiyan. I wanna.
it also didn't specify pure good, just said pure.
Yeah. Pure douchebag.
Pure evil. But no, this idea of like, okay, if holiness is the singular focus, and we know the rule of the life is to get there, I do think that like there are many ways to approach it, but I do think like, what's your rule for physical growth? What's your rule for spiritual growth? And what's your rule for mental growth? Right? Like I think framing it from that context, because like you can figure out all the different things, but it's like and then analyzing your goals, right? Like if your goal is to grow in holiness, okay, physically, what does that look like? right? Are you attached to some type of material goods? You know, are you, maybe it's I want to get physically fitter, right? Because I know that like training my body, right? And you read the lives of the saints, right? Where you read like you know, St. Paul, he talks about like run the race as if you're trying to win. Or he talks about how like an athlete trains their body, so too should a Christian train their soul.
Hmm.
Right? Like this idea that like physical training in some ways is analogous to spiritual like growth.
Mm.
And so that idea of like, okay, I want to um suffer physically to develop those spiritual muscles as well. But I think that idea of like spiritual, mental, and physical growth being tied into the Catholic winter arc, so to speak, is kind of like primary. And this idea of a rule of life centers it to where it's like, okay, what can I do? Right? Like, what's the one or two or three things that I can do to develop these things?
Yeah, and I think it's very appropriate for us to talk about, especially with, at the end of every episode, how are we going deeper? How are we trying to live a more meaningful life? We're already halfway there, but I think the idea of this winter arc is being even more intentional and doing it day in, day out. What is this? What is, instead of just like, oh, how am I going to go deeper today? It's narrowing that focus and saying, how am I being really intentional about being growing more in holiness during these next couple months? And what does that look like? How am I locking in?
Yeah, how am I training my body, my mind, and my soul for, you know, realistically, right? Like for what comes ahead. Because another interesting part that this YouTuber mentioned is like, who is your rival? What's the thing you're fighting against? What's the obstacle you're trying to overcome? And I would say that for the Catholic, there are three enemies of the soul that we have to be wary of, which is the world, the flesh, and the devil, right? Like, the world is going to tell me that I need to live and be a certain way, right? Like, it's going to offer me all the different things, right? That,
Hmm.
could distract me. The flesh is going to tell me to just seek pleasure, right?
Minimize pain,
What's going to make
maximize
me,
pleasure.
yep. And then the devil's going to tell me that, well, the things that I want are good, right? That, oh, God is trying to hide something and keep something from you
Yep.
in that thing that you want.
Yeah.
And God has said that's bad, but like you don't actually know.
Yeah. The God who created the entire universe, who didn't have to make you but chose to make you, he doesn't actually want what's best for you.
Well,
You're muted.
that's the lie of Genesis, right?
Yep. I
In
just
Genesis,
talked about this yesterday at OCIC, so I'm in that headspace.
yeah, that the devil tries to convince us that God is lying and keeping something from us. And the world tries to tell us that, oh, right, like material goods creation will fulfill my every need, my every desire. And the flesh tells me that I want pleasure more than I want discipline.
Yep.
And so when you look at those three things, I do think that also like the remedy to those things, like physical training to, reject creation and detach myself from creation, being willing to engage in suffering, drowns out the noise of the voice of the flesh, right? By allowing myself to be rooted in, a good mental headspace and knowing myself and knowing what my needs are, and not like listening to all the lies of the world, I can reject the voice of the world, which is telling me that created goods are going to fulfill me, because I can actually know what it is that I need, what it is that I want, and I can differentiate between the two. And then lastly, like by training myself spiritually and growing spiritually, I can more readily discern between the voice of God and the voice of the devil and reject the lies of the devil and embrace who I am as a created son of God who is loved beyond all measure and has been made for great things.
Yep.
So,
So
one of the
that
joys,
I was gonna say that's a really great way to some. What is that concretely looking like for
yeah,
each of us? I think is the
right.
big question.
Yeah, one of the great joys of my life is that I get to do this very thing with my students. I don't call it an anime Catholic training arc, um, winter
that
training arc,
that tends to turn away some people.
or really get some people excited because they're just the only thing they do is watch anime all day. Um,
But you really enjoy it when they call you sensei, don't you?
senpai, senpai.
Master Yanda.
um, anyways, but no, I get to help students kind of write their own rule of life, right?
Mhm.
And okay, for the next 3 months, what does it look like to grow in prayer? What does it look like to grow in community? What does it look like to grow in mission? I think here, like, what does it look like to grow spiritually? What does it look like to grow physically? What does it look like to grow mentally? Right? And so for me, something that I have been active in trying to do is actively curb my appetites in my flesh, be it for food, for drink, be it for, you know, saying I just want to lay in bed and veg all day, or I just want to play video games and watch TV, right? And so being able to be like, no, okay, every day for the next 3 months, I'm gonna get 10,000 steps in. I'm going to keep myself to a 2,500 calorie like goal. I'm gonna go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Um, at 6 a.m. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna go to bed by 10:30, right? Like, and be very disciplined with myself on those things because I know that like it's very easy for me to just embrace the lies of the flesh, which is like I want to be comfortable, and comfortability is what I was made for.
You're not made for comfort. You were made for greatness.
Yeah. And then as far as like the mental capacity, I do want to spend more time reading, right? Like I want to read at least for an hour a day, you know, every day, right? To grow my, I think a big part of like this is like our attention spans,
Hmm.
right? Like I recently put on my phone like a time limit on most of my apps, right? And it's like so many people are like, oh, well, I can just turn off the time limit. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna stop making excuses for myself and be like, oh, it's so easy to get around. Oh, the screen pops up saying my limit's over. Okay, great. Turn the phone. I physically turn the phone off at that point. I go, cool, phone's going off.
Hmm.
I'll turn it back on and then I'll turn it back on when I get the urge to scroll again, and then I turn it back on. And I'm like, oh, I still don't have time for this. Okay, maybe I should go do something else.
Hmm.
Right,
It,
building the mental fortitude that I don't need the things that the world is going to offer me. I don't need this material possession to drive my attention, and that I want to grow my ability to be more attentive to people around me. I want to be better in community. I want to do all those things. So like being very intentional with my use of technology to limit it to that which is most essential. And I think for myself spiritually, um, it's that season again where I do my yearly renewal of Marian consecration.
very nice. Very
Um,
nice.
so consecrating myself to the Blessed Virgin Mary under her title of Our Lady of Guadalupe. But that's only going to last until December 12th. And so, I already have like a pretty good habit of prayer. I pray every day. I read scripture for at least 15 minutes a day. But I think something that is sorely missed in my life is the end of the day reflection where I take the time to I want to sit there and talk with the Lord about how my day was and listen to what he has to say about how well did I follow him? How well did I reject the lies of the devil and accept my mission and responsibility as a son of God? And so making more time at the end of the day for a daily examine every day. And like I created like a habit tracker checklist for this because I've been thinking about this for the last week or so. So it's got like daily, weekly, monthly habits.
Hmm.
Right. And some of these things it's like, okay, daily habit, like did you pray today? Did you do your examine? Did you pray your rosary? Right? Like weekly, right? How many times did you go to the gym? Right? Like daily, did you get your 10,000 steps in? Um, what's another weekly habit I have? Did you spend time with friends? Right? maybe it's not physically, but like a good part of like mental growth is like being around other people in community. And so like, did you spend time with friends? Did you call a friend this week? Did you call your family? You know, and then monthly, did you go to confession? Right? When was the last time you made it a point to you know do something in community, like in person? So yeah.
Nice. I like that. I like especially the way you broke that down. The daily, weekly, monthly. I think that's a really good way to hold
Yeah,
yourself
because this
accountable.
is something I'm talking with my students about is like your life will probably look very different in the next 3 months, right? And that's true for any of us. Like 3 months is a long period of time. We don't think it is, but like your life is probably going to look different in 3 months. You probably have something come up in your life that might change how you're going to respond to certain things, might change the time and availability you have. So right now, just focus on what's life look like for the next 3 months.
Hmm.
Okay, and then assess like at the end of that 3 months, how did you do? Right? Were you able to keep up with the habits? Were you able to grow? Um, was this too much for you to chew off of? Or is it like, okay, I've done this, but I feel like the Lord is still calling me to more. Great. What is he calling you to?
Yeah, and it's that honest reflection of how am I doing? Because we can all have these grand goals. If they're completely unattainable, well, then that's point. That was a almost fruitless exercise. But at the same time, sometimes we do the opposite. We overestimate how much time it's going to take us to do something. We're like, well, I did that. Now what? And we're not
Yep.
actually challenging ourselves enough. So that's good. That's good
So
reflection.
yeah. So what about you? What are some ways that you're trying to level up this anime winter arc?
Physically, like you, been going to the gym. I've been trying to average about 4 days a week. Um, and specifically been trying to. Before I was just kind of training just to train, but like we talked about at the Ren Fair, like we're like, oh, we want to do it, an Iron Man, and
No, we're not doing an Iron Man.
not Iron Man. What was the one we said?
Spartan race.
Spartan race. Yeah, Spartan race.
I'm not running 100 miles. I barely want to run 5.
I barely want to run 3. So, but with that's like, all right, looking at like what kind of activities are in a Spartan race. So I'm focusing on different types of lifts, focusing on adding cardio back in, focusing on leg training again because so my legs don't suck at their job. Just like being much more intentional about the type of training that I'm doing and forcing myself to eat more food so I can actually not just work out the muscles but actually grow them in a way that's meaningful. Um, so I've been much more intentional about that, and it's felt really good. Like I've actually been able to be consistent with it, and like and I found that by having a goal with my lifts, not just like, oh, I just want to like lift more with my bench press or whatever. Like I'm training for a specific purpose has really increased my motivation for that, and I'm actually seeing a lot more results too. Um, so that's the physical. The mental, like you, I've been reading a lot lately.
Mm.
Not the most intellectually stimulating books in some way, mostly sci-fi fantasy, but like I haven't been like I stopped reading over the summer completely. I really this whole year I wasn't reading very much, maybe the occasional book. I read 7 books in like 4 weeks. Like my uncle Dave recommended some books to me and I've just been after that I was like, well, I'm just going for it. So I read those. I finished a series, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I finished a series, or what I thought was a series. Apparently, there's 8 books in the series, but I finished a book that I started before. I'm doing a book swap with Miriam, and it's been really good. Like I've been actually like I've been listening to music a lot less, and it's mostly just been books and podcasts again, which is what I used to do all the time, and then I just kind of fell away from it. But now I'm actually like being much more intentional about doing things that are stimulating. Like even when I'm like just doing the dishes or I'm folding clothes, I am still listening to those things. That way I can be. I'm not just like wasting time. Like I'm taking advantage of the time that I have during these mundane tasks to be actually stimulating my mind. And it's been really nice just getting kind of back in that groove of reading. I missed it. I didn't realize I missed it, but I really have. And then spiritually, I'm kind of in the opposite boat as you as far as the how prayer's been. Because Mira and I do our prayer at the end of the day most of the time, and it really does give us a good, we read the scriptures, we listen to a reflection, but then getting to reflect on my day at the end and like being intentional about thanking God for all the blessings that I've gotten throughout the day, um, and just praying for specific things I've noticed like throughout the day. Like, I really struggled in this area today. So pray. I pray for the strength for this tomorrow, whatever that looks like. But on the flip side, so that's been going very well. We're at 150 days, something like that. But on the flip side, my regular prayer, like during the day, I've been struggling with getting that off the ground. So for me, it's been very, all right. You work upstairs from the chapel or below the church. Can you give Jesus those 10 minutes? And just starting small with those 10 minutes, finding time to put him in there. Getting ready for OCIA has been really good because I've been having to kind of go back to the basics. Like, all right, especially for OCIZ, learning to talk about God for middle schoolers is really hard. So approaching him with that kind of like this almost childlike curiosity of like, how do I take something that's so massive, something that's so amazing, and condense it down to something that a child can understand properly? Has been really hard, but it's been really gratifying. Like trying to like relearn that desire for Jesus in a childlike way and being able to explain that. That's been the
Mhm.
core of what I've been doing for the past probably 3 or 4 weeks, really, especially for OCIC. Just like, how do I take this love that I have for Jesus and make them understand what that is?
Nice. Yeah. No, I do think that like going back to the concept of the winter arc, right? We have we have all the elements that are necessary, right? Like this idea of like, all right, we're training for a purpose, namely holiness. What is the things that are stopping us from being holy? Like, going back to like you look at different things, it's like, and every time people were always training for a specific end, holiness, and training against something, namely the world, the flesh, and the devil in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's like, okay, right, over the next 3 months, being super intentional with locking in. For the average person, the idea of the winter arc being like at the end of this 3 months, I want to come out and have people be like, something's different about you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that idea of like, am I actually going hard enough? Right? That's always the thing I talk with my students. There's a book by a French monastic entitled "The Soul of the Apostolate," and I mentioned this before to you in private. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but in the book, the author he has this line where he says, "I should have a reasonable fear that I do not have the spiritual life that the Lord demands of me." Right? I need to be constantly asking myself, "Am I going harder than last time? Am I striving for holiness more than I ever have?" Um, St. Paul, he says in his letter to the Hebrews, "You have not yet resisted sin to the point of shedding blood." And Jesus Christ, he says, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." The bar is perfection. We can't lower it.
Which is really great for us. But it is true. Like we often we. Oh gosh, did you ever play Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn?
No, I never played any of the Fire Emblem games.
Fantastic series. But there's a line there that I really like where this it's at the end and Ike is basically saying he's like, look, people don't think that we need gods, but we do because they give us something to aspire to, and without that, we're basically statues. Like
Yeah,
and I was like, that's exactly it. Like without that bar of perfection, if the bar was 80%, 70%, whatever, that's not calling us to what we're supposed to be. If the bar is not perfection, then we can settle, and God is not calling us to settle.
well, and that's why, like, not to shift bars here, but I do think that's why, like, the Catholic winter arc has to be purgatory in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a small experience of purgatory. It has to be detachment from sin, from material vices, right? I talked to my student leaders this weekend about purgatory in our small group leader meeting. And one of the things I said was a quote from C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, famous Anglican who never was formally received in the Catholic Church, but you read his writings and you're like, dude, you were Catholic.
You were this close to greatness.
We're this close to greatness. But he talks about purgatory. He says, of course I believe in purgatory. He said, our souls demand purgatory. And here's why. God is all loving and all merciful. But if at the end of our lives we approached God in his heavenly throne, covered in mud and dirt, and God said, "Son, come into my kingdom. I know you're covered in mud and dirt, your breath smells, but we're kind and charitable here. Nobody's going to judge you." Would we not say, "My Lord, I know it's going to be painful, but please cleanse me"? Because I know that you're perfect and I want to be like you because that's what I was made for.
It's like coming over to your friend's house and you're covered in crap. Like you're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. How much more so would we want to do that for the God of the universe and his perfect kingdom in heaven?
And so start your purgatory now with this year's Catholic Winter Arc.
You could get your own plan for 3 easy payments of $49.99 plus shipping and handling from Duke and Alta
And
Media Co.
we do include free indulgences, unlike back in the 1500s when we charged for them.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. I feel like that's a good way to.
I think we don't need to talk about how we're going deeper because that's literally what this whole episode was about. So, as
I don't know what
always,
time we're at, but I think we're at like 40 minutes.
45 right on the dot. So we're in a good spot. So, thank you so much for listening. All of our usual listeners, Mike, Hunter, Todd, the boys. I know Hunter doesn't actually listen. My mom, anyone else?
How
Some
do we get Hunter to listen?
we bribe him.
Hey
But
Hunter, if you listen, we'll buy you a new AR.
don't tempt him. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Comment how your Catholic Winter Arc is going to look. We'd love to hear how it's going to go.
And don't forget to bully Andrew in the comment section.
All right. Peace and blessings. We'll see you guys on the next one.